Dirty Sports Podcast. I said, welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No-Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Morning.
Good morning.
Are you in LA?
I'm in LA, yes.
Okay.
I head to Las Vegas, Nevada tomorrow morning. Thank you for bringing that up so quickly in the show, Andy. I'll be at the Comedy Cellar in the Rio in Las Vegas tomorrow through Sunday, 2 shows every night, 7 o'clock and 9:30. Comedy Cellar, best comedy brand in the whole world. I don't know who's on the lineup, but I know they're going to be good.
Are you growing out the beard?
Well, I was just I had a little time off. It's the first like break between road shows I've had in a while. So just, lazy. I'll actually probably shave tonight down to the mustache again. Get ready for Las Vegas.
Who's the team you're representing with that hat?
This is I forget where they are. It's the Flying Chanclas. Some DirtBall sent me 3 fire hats. 3, a white version of this, a light blue, a dark blue version, and a yellow version, and they're all great.
What is it? Chanclas.
It's a sandal. Flying chancla is like it's weird because it's basically a child abuse joke, but
Wait, what?
Mexican mothers are known for throwing flip-flops at people, throwing sandals at their children.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
You don't know what city that's from?
It's like a alternate hat. Like this isn't the team name, but then it's their alternate.
Dude, it's fucking hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
The minor leagues, again, they just go for it, man.
It's the equivalent of I guess it's like I think it's like a border town Texas team or something like that. It's like, it might be like the El Paso Chihuahuas, like alternate or something like that. But it's the equivalent of being like the Brooklyn Wooden Spoons.
I was just going to make a wooden spoon reference.
Or like, where was our boy Adrian Peterson? Like it'd be like the whatever, like switch. Yeah.
Which that's
it's
like
hilarious.
Breaking off a tree branch.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. My mom would have supported the Brooklyn Wooden Spoons.
Yeah.
Staple in the Ruther household.
My mom, we didn't have a lot of chanclas in our house, but my mom was known to throw a shoe or two.
She threw a shoe, huh?
There's a very famous Prano family tale about John getting hit so hard with a thrown Return of the Jedi shoe that
shut up,
that he had the Ewok that was molded into the bottom tattooed on his ass for a minute.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, thanks for tipping me that they made Return of the Jedi shoes. Didn't know those existed.
I mean, this is truly like, I mean, it's one of my earliest memories. So when did Return of the Jedi come out? 83?
I think 83 or 84.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally like the summer of the movie, and back in those days, think about all the merch.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was like a van, it was like a Van's like slip-on shoe. But like, think about the care that went into the craftsmanship back in the day. Like you would see that on the side of a shoe now, but molded into the sole, like molded into the rubber on the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You see they're doing another Star Wars, which obviously is not a surprise, but I was texting my one brother about, I just said, like, how bad, like, how much worse are these things just going to continue to be? Like, every film is just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Well, there's what was the last film they put out?
Although the last one wasn't terrible.
That was The Last Jedi,
yeah, I think so.
Or the final one of those. It was the final one of those trilogy, right? It wasn't.
Yeah, it's where Kylo Ren dies. The Emperor.
Spoiler.
Emperor Palpatine's back. But I saw this.
Jeez, what are you going to tell us next? Darth Vader's Luke's father?
Yeah, I saw that somewhere. So this one says Daisy Ridley.
Old Emperor types just dying all over the place.
Don't do it, Joe. Don't do it. Don't. We already talked about it.
I didn't do it. I'm not doing anything.
No spoilers. No spoilers for people. So Daisy.
The girls that get it.
Okay. Yeah, I feel ya. So Daisy Ridley will return as Rey in Charmin Obeyed Chinoise. I don't
Bless
know.
You.
It's a new Star Wars film. Rey will rebuild the Jedi Order. So I guess whoever is doing it, his name is Charmin Obeyed Chinoise. Like I don't know.
Not gonna work here anymore. That's for sure.
I just like. The thing is, am I gonna watch it? I can bitch.
You are 100%.
I know. I bitch all this time, and I'm like,
and you'll probably buy a ticket, go see it in theaters. Lamar Jackson will be there, and you won't say anything about his contract situation.
First of all,
that's a dirty sports throwback.
What's that?
Wasn't it at a Star Wars movie where you saw Andy Dalton after years of literally tearing Andy Dalton down in the show? And I was like, did you say anything to him? And you were like, I said, what's up, Red Rocket? Great seeing you.
Yeah, I did see Andy Dalton at a Star Wars in Cincinnati when I was home for the break. I'm not going to talk trash to the guy. Good reference, though. I'm not going to walk up to a stranger. I saw him in like the common area where you fill up your soda refills. Yeah. Literally, he was just like right next to me, filling up his soda. I'm filling up. I wasn't gonna be like, "Hey, dude, by the way, you suck." I wasn't gonna do that.
You should have been like, "Hey, I just want you to know that I have said that I will no longer be a fan of the team as long as you are on it."
I was young. Here's the thing, though. That Andy Dalton, I'm just gonna say he didn't deserve some of the things I said.
Wow. Look at Andy Ruther, all grown up.
No, he wasn't that guy. Don't get me wrong. He was not that guy.
Yeah.
But he also, it's a broader problem playing for that organization. Yeah. So I saw Carson Palmer had some comments this week about Burrow, actually. He said Burrow's the best quarterback in the game, which is reckless to Patrick Mahomes. But he brought in the franchise, and he basically said that on the podcast with his brother. I believe his brother is also one of Burrow's quarterback coaches, but he said, dude, if you can win in Cincinnati, man, like you're next level. Which, for the record, I don't know if you saw, he was at the UFC fight. All those guys were there. I don't know if did you see?
I did not.
So like they were all sitting together, all those LSU guys, like Jefferson and Burrow and OBJ. Like they had a whole crew of like LSU guys were at the UFC fight, and I didn't watch it, of course, but I saw the camera, and everybody on Twitter was making jokes. I saw yesterday. They literally show Justin. They're like, look at the famous people here, and they show Justin Jefferson, and they literally go over Burrow, who's sitting next to OBJ, and they're like, in Odell Beckham Jr. And I was like, well, that's a weird flex there by UFC. You're like just skipping right over Burrow. Yeah,
that is weird.
You want to just talk about it? Your boy getting signed by the Ravens?
Oh, sure. Not the place I wanted to see Odell end up, but at the same time, not a terrible place for him to end up. To be honest, I don't really know where I wanted him to end up. Him returning to the Giants is something that there's a certain section of Giants fans that have been rooting for, but I knew every moment, despite my fingers crossed. I knew that was literally never going to happen based on everything I know about the relationships there. So I wasn't really sure where I wanted him to end up. I guess, someplace where he could really thrive and have an opportunity to win and get fed the ball, even not as like the number one guy, but like maybe a Kansas City, would have been a nice fit, because it's like, oh, well, if he's going to get some yards and he's going to get some touchdowns, may as well be with somebody like Patrick Mahomes, who's turned nobodies into somebodies. He can certainly turn somebodies into somebodies once again. But it's interesting to see him end up on the Ravens right now with everything going on. A lot of people said this must be a sign. He must know something. He must be aware that a Lamar Jackson deal is imminent. And I disagree with that theory. I think that this, if anything, is potentially something that they're trying to use to lure Lamar Jackson into a deal by saying, hey, one of your big complaints is we don't get you receivers. Here's a guy. Sign and let's go get it.
So it's a 1-year deal. He could make up to 18 million. I think he gets 15 million guaranteed, which is a lot for 1 year. I know we're going to disagree on this, but here's my take on it. I think we live in the past with Odell. Like, I don't mind the money. It's a 1-year deal, but like, this is your weapon. I'm just saying, a guy who's had 2 ACL tears recently, like, he is a good number 2. I'll pose the question. I think this is a great number. I haven't even looked at it. This will be the Andy Ruther line because of injury bugs that happened to him. Over under 800 receiving yards. There's 17 games. It's really not that many.
It's really not that many yards, but yeah, I mean, it truly is a question of staying on the field.
Correct.
I'm going to say over. I think the difference between the way people are handling Odell and the way people think he should be handled, it's like I the money is kind of whatever. It's neither here nor there. Obviously, it's not. He's not the highest paid receiver in football, and he's not. He didn't take the $4 million that supposedly was offered to him before. Is that number high for a guy who missed all last year to injury? Probably, but also he believed he could play last year and didn't get signed. You got to remember he did have an ACL and then come back, be literally the missing piece on an offense that went on to win the Super Bowl. And despite what everybody wants to say, if ends or buts, was trending to be, he was pacing to be the Super Bowl MVP in the first quarter of that game. He was being gone to way more than Cooper Kupp, who ended up, getting the MVP. I think you can't really, I think to count him out based on an injury when he's already come back from it once is one thing. Obviously, he's probably not going to be the guy who catches slants 3 yards off the line anymore and takes them to the house without being touched. But when you look around the league in terms of his ball skills, that's not something that's affected by knee injury. And that's not something that he'll ever be behind, more than 10 guys in the league, maybe. If not less than that.
But I guess my point is, I think you talked about taking the 3-yard slant to the house. I think we still live in that mindset a lot of times with him for some reason, even though he's had all the injuries. He's 31. I said it at 800, and I'm not saying he's going to go under. I think that's right around there. Like you said, it's based on him playing and him playing the whole year. And I put this on Twitter last night, and I think it's a great question. Who plays more games this year for the Ravens? Lamar Jackson or Odell Beckham Jr.? Who plays more games? 17 regular season games.
I think a better question is who plays more games at quarterback. We're talking about Lamar Jackson. I know the consensus seems to be that this means something, but I just don't. If this meant that Lamar Jackson was on the verge of getting signed, then why isn't he getting signed?
Yeah.
It's a deal in principle with Odell. Is he now? He's waiting for what? Pen to paper. Now they have a deal in principle with Lamar, but he wants to see him pass the physical and get signed before he comes around. I just think that this was a, hey, man, we got you a weapon. We want you to be our quarterback. And one of your complaints is the lack of weapons. We got you a weapon. And we got you a weapon with a big name. And I think that the living in the past situation, when you look around sports, this is just something that happens from players. Players tend to overrate other great players. To this day, you'll find a superstar in the NBA that's like, give me Carmelo Anthony. He can help us. And it's like, dude, Carmelo Anthony hasn't helped a team since Syracuse. What the fuck are we talking about? So when you get a name like Odell Beckham Jr., like I think that they were essentially paying for the name.
I think you're right.
They're paying for the name to say, hey, Lamar Jackson, we went out and got Odell Beckham Jr.
Sure. A hot name.
Now come sign, when the case may be, you're absolutely right. I mean, the NFL, especially at the receiver position, is so deep where I still think, again, Odell Beckham's ball skills are kind of unmatched, but you might get production out of somebody that you could pay half or a third of that money. But does trying to convince Lamar Jackson that some guy he's never heard of is going to give him the same production? I think that's why they make that signing.
Yeah, and again, the argument you always hear from all the Lamar Jackson fans, he doesn't have any weapons. He's never had weapons. And the counter is always, dude, great quarterbacks make nobody somebody. Aaron Rodgers never had a first-round draft pick at wide receiver.
That's what kind of happens when you demand a ton of money.
Sure.
What you want you want a top 3 defense that you've had, and you want a good O-line, and you want like multiple running backs like you've had in the past, where they've had dual headed monsters in the backfield, and you want a great tight end, and you want weapons. Like, cool. I want a house and a Ferrari and a boat. I have an apartment.
It's just, I don't know. It's like, that's always the argument. And the counter always is, well, didn't make these guys make the nobodies into somebodies. And I think you're right. I don't think this is an implication that he's 100% coming back to Baltimore. I think he is, but just because they signed Odell, I think Odell
it might even be a, hey, you're already getting top 5 money with the franchise tag. How about play another year out with a weapon, and then we'll decide on what you were doing with this big deal.
So if Lamar was smart, he'd look at this deal and he'd say this, wow, Odell's getting a lot of money. It's almost as if having an agent negotiate for you is a good thing. If he was smart, he'd look at it from that angle.
The Lamar Jackson agent thing that we've talked about a lot comes down to, I think an agent told him, you can't get that money. And then he went and shopped around for agents, and they were like, you can't get that money. And that's why he doesn't have an agent. If he had an agent who was like, I can come in and get you $200 million guaranteed, he'd have an agent.
Yeah, I know. Well, again, it'll play out here, I think, with the NBA. I'm sorry, with the NFL draft. Everybody was.
I got to say, in terms of Lamar Jackson or no Lamar Jackson or a quarterback from the draft, or Tyler Huntley or somebody else that they trade for or whatever. Like, I like this for Odell.
Oh, it's a great deal for him.
We know they're gonna be competitive.
Yeah.
We like, what's hilarious is that their offense has gotten shit on over the years. Oh, Greg Roman doesn't know how to use Lamar. That's why he's getting hurt. Like, you can shit on the usage of guys, which I think he's using to the best of their ability in running their quarterback, because that's, I think, again, Lamar Jackson needs that to win. They've been pretty creative. Like, it's not like there are guys on that team that aren't having 1,000-yard seasons or having like huge touchdown years.
See, obviously, we're not in Baltimore. I never fully understood the Greg Roman hate because, and maybe I'm just not as knowledgeable enough on it. The same guy who got Lamar, I shouldn't say guy, the same guy who's the OC when Lamar wins the MVP is the same guy who's a dipshit. Like, make up your minds.
This is let Russ cook all over again. There's people who stupidly think that their quarterback is better than he is. And so when they have something that works, they're like, but think about how much more he could do if you let him open it up. Russ could be Patrick Mahomes. Have you seen the long ball? And then he goes to Denver and they're like, hey, let's open it up. And he gets dropped by Subway because he's so fucking bad.
Yeah, Greg Roman was the NFL Assistant Coach of the Year that year. And then suddenly he just sucks. Like, suddenly he just sucks.
He just loves running the ball so much. You know how many times we fucking run it on first and second down? Yeah, you have a running quarterback.
Yeah, man. I was seeing more people talk about that. It's funny you bring that up. And I never thought about this. Like, they said, like, it's not even just that he's a running quarterback. It's like he runs just as much as a running back. That's his shelf life. Yeah. And that's what these teams are doing. We've discussed at length how the long-term deals or all the big guaranteed contracts for running back, that's a thing of the past now. Yeah. They learned from the Todd Gurley deals and the Zeke deals. These are not smart deals. They're not good business decisions. They're not good team personnel decisions. And that's kind of how teams are treating Lamar. They're saying, dude, you can say all you want that you're a quarterback. You run like a running back. The amount of rushes.
That's Greg Roman's fault. Let him sit in the pocket and throw it. Look at what he does when he sits in the pocket and throws it. Who wins the MVP? Oh, all the again, this is just like what happened with Russ. All the play action set up by you guys running the ball all the fucking time.
Yeah.
All the option essentially type of, the RPOs. You can't have run pass options for touchdowns unless people think you might run the ball.
Yeah. Everybody
let him cook. Let Russ cook. Look how he throws perfect balls when he has guys one-on-one after play action.
Did you get people sending you that Warren Sharp tweet about Kirk Cousins compared to Lamar?
I did, yeah.
So many people sent me that.
Which I didn't really understand. I mean, we've obviously talked about both of them a lot. I never know. I don't even know the reasoning behind that tweet, nor do I know if people are sending to me. It's like Kirk Cousins proves why.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. He's the poster child.
It's always this thing of like, this guy got paid, and look at what this guy did compared to him. And it's like, and how's that going for the Vikings? They haven't made it as far as they did with Case Keenum. How is that going for the Redskins, the Commanders, the Washington football team? Everywhere that Kirk Cousins got that money, how is that going for them?
Yeah, I didn't really fully understand.
You're using this to prove essentially why Lamar Jackson shouldn't get paid. And also, he's not on the field as much as Kirk Cousins even was.
Yeah. I know.
I'm here for dunking on Kirk Cousins. I mean, I'll have a John Starks-like poster of people dunking on Kirk Cousins. I'll put the dunk on Kirk Cousins on the wall. But this is some sort, like, you're kind of dunking on both of them. You're like, here's some statistics that are very similar for two quarterbacks that absolutely never should have gotten that money.
Yeah, 100%.
And now suddenly it's a lot of talk, a lot of rumors. Oh, are the Vikings going to take Will Levis? Are they getting ready to move on? Have they figured out that they can't pay this guy and this guy and this guy and continue to pay Kirk Cousins? Now, I think the Vikings are fucking stupid. And I think they probably will stick with Kirk Cousins. But you should not use Kirk Cousins as the example of some sort of look at what this team did.
Yeah. It's actually the opposite. Well, Joe, that's a good segue to talk Minnesota basketball. We can talk about Minnesota football. What is going on with the Timberwolves on the final regular season game?
Unreal.
Never seen anything like it.
The Rudy Gobert trade, I mean, it's turning out to be one of the great trade disasters of all time. I mean, everybody, speaking of dunking on it, everybody dunked on it when it happened. They were like, for Rudy Gobert, like, okay, great defense, but like, is he changing your franchise? Is he a franchise changer? And the answer is clearly no. They're once again a play-in team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yesterday was just, again, something I've not like you follow sports for all these years, and then to see all these things happen, you're just like, this all happened in the final regular season game. Gobert punches his teammate,
and it's not they're the Mavs, or they're this team that's like, oh, there was these high expectations for them, and they're out of the playoffs, and their season is over, and frustration boils over. No one knows who's going to be there next year and who's not. Rudy Gobert is going to be there next year. Rudy Gobert, like, to share a city with Kirk Cousins and be the most overpaid athlete is fucking mind-blowing. Imagine getting in the elevator with like Jenna Jameson and being like, "Hey, I'm the biggest whore in this elevator." Like, you would have to be, you'd be like, "Jesus Christ, how? What do you do with your life?"
Well,
like,
it wasn't even just that fight, right? I mean, again, this is what I can't get over. That Jaden McDaniels punched a wall and fractured his hand and is now done for the year. Like, all these things happen in one game. Never seen anything like it.
In a game that they're in the play-in.
Yeah. I mean, this is wild, right? So Gobert and Kyle Anderson are getting into it, and Gobert just straight up, boom, punches him in the middle of a timeout.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
I mean, the closest, obviously not between teammates. It was a very Carmelo Anthony, Marty Collins punch. It was the punch and run. It was very French of him.
Yeah, I never thought about that. He does.
He's like, take that, and now I shall go to the locker room.
He does do the punch and run. He definitely walks. Look, he's backing. Yeah, he's backing up.
Oh, because a 3 foot tall, like, cowboy is like, come here. He's like, yeah, I do want the croissant.
So, according to Woj, and this whole thing sounds like something that Barry McCockiner tweeted as a joke, Gobert escalated the verbal argument and physical encounter. Kyle Anderson before that told him to shut the fuck up, bitch. The disagreement started with Anderson telling Gobert to block some shots, Gobert telling him to grab a rebound, and then that's how it ended with the punch. So Rudy Gobert is not traveling with the team.
Banana land.
So he will not be with the T-Wolves against the Lakers tomorrow night.
You know what the T-Wolves need? You know who they should sign to a 10-day contract? Any
Who?
Mexican mother. Bring the Chanclas. Keep the piece on the bench.
Yeah.
Keep the piece on the bench. Anybody gets out of line, they get hit with a sandal.
I like that. So, like, how's that work? You just put the, or is it the Mexican grandmother? I feel like the grandmother would be even better.
Yeah.
The abuela. So, like, put her on the,
just put her as like the 7th man on the bench, literally mid-bench.
And the minute they get out of line or disorderly,
smacking in the hands with a slipper. Rudy Gobert's like, ha ha ha! The Chancla.
It has a Timberwolf logo on it.
Yeah.
Kind of like your Return of the Jedi logo. So
Yeah,
that way
exactly.
when you get hit in the face, you're still representing the team. You go on the court. Does this all but ruin their chances of beating the Lakers?
I mean, I didn't love their chances anyway.
Sure.
It's one game. Anything is possible. But, yeah, I mean, the way the Lakers are playing, LeBron seeming pretty confident yesterday. He hits 8 threes. He's feeling himself. He did the King's crown after. I don't like their chances, but it's one game.
Sure.
You know, but Anthony Davis without Rudy Gobert in the middle, you like the chances of him having a big game. The big question, I guess, is how much does this hurt their chances of even making it in? Do the Timberwolves go LL here? Do they go full Cool J in the play-in rounds?
Let's see here. So if they lose, they get the winner of Pelicans Thunder.
Yeah.
Are you thinking the Pelicans take care of business at home?
No, I think that you know, that's a game that could go either way for sure. I mean, SGA, what a season he had. I mean, do I think that the Pelicans win at home? Yes, I do. But like, that's a coin flip to me, because again, these one NBA game, I don't care where that game is being played. Literally there's no team in the NBA that has a home court advantage enough that really makes me think you swing it on one game, unless, of course, there was huge travel, which you're not really getting that much in the NBA. So it's really best player on the court situation.
Yeah.
You look at the Timberwolves team, how they're right now, like the chances of them having, and not that Rudy Gobert was their best offensive player by any means, but without Rudy Gobert on the court, on the team, what are the chances that the Timberwolves have the best player on the court in a game against the Lakers? Now, listen, the Pelicans have a lot of firepower. The Thunder obviously have less firepower, but they have a player that could, I mean, a 45-point SGA game just to power them. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. But I like the Pelicans, and then I kind of like the winner of that game to beat the Timberwolves now.
If only the Pelicans could have Zion Williamson. Does he still play in the NBA at this point?
Technically.
I read a great article about him in The Athletic. Like, just breaking everything down. And we all know how many games he's missed. Since Brandon Ingram joined the team, those two have only played 12 games together. Think about that. Ingram and Williamson have only played 12 games together. And here's the thing. When Williamson does play, and it's very small and few and far between, like, he's dominant. He's great.
Yeah.
But in 4 years, he's played 114 games.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In 4 seasons, he's played 114 games. That's it.
28 a year, 29 a year.
Yeah. And I was kind of scratching my head, and I was like, is his comp, is it Joel Embiid? But I don't know if it is, because Embiid just didn't play his first 2 years at all. They were just cautious because of injury.
Yeah. Joel Embiid is a freak. I mean, not that Zion's not an athletic freak as well, but like the size, I mean, the concern's always been from day one with Zion was, the weight he carries and all that. And you just like to see him play with any sort of consistency.
Did he choose the wrong sport? A legitimate question.
What else was he? Was he a football player?
No, I don't even know if he played football. I'm just saying with his build and with, I know you're laughing. No, but I'm being serious. With his build and with his athleticism, did he choose the wrong sport? Like, should you have been playing football, man?
What's he playing football? Tight end?
Tight end? For sure. I'm just saying, look, if you here's the deal. He's played 114 games in 4 years. How many guys get out of the injury bug when they have it that badly? Again, is Joel Embiid our only comp? But he wasn't playing at all. Now, Embiid's still good to miss 15 to 20 games a year.
Right.
Consistently. That's going to be his MO throughout his career. But I'd still rather have a guy playing 55 to 60 games
than a guy missing 55 to 60 games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like they have
what's crazy is, again, they're a 9 seed and he's not playing. It's like they have the potential of being right there, but it's like when you build around, like we're now at the point where Zion Williamson needs to get paid soon. That's what's bananas.
I know. And we all know Brandon Ingram. He's arguably the most famous Ruther curse breaker. I shouldn't say breaker, enforcer. Like he reinforces the Ruther curse.
Yeah.
Because I called Brandon Ingram a bust.
He's on the what's it called in your fraternity? Those pictures, on your composite photo of the Ruther Curse frat house. He's definitely like in the executive.
He's the president.
Board.
Yeah, he's on the E board. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what it all went back to for me? He was filming a commercial in Venice Beach.
Brandon Ingram?
He was one day, and I went out for my little beach workout. They're always filming out there. And this is like right after the Lakers are drafted. No, they're filming some commercial right there on the Venice Beach courts. And I'm just like, is this guy, like, I think I was like, I was taken back by how skinny he was.
At 19 years old.
And you see it in person, it's different. Like you're right, like walking right by him. And I was like, this guy. And then he had a slow start in his career. And I went in hard. And I was like, bust, bust, bust. And then he was like, okay, this is not going to happen. And then he goes to the Pelicans and he's been playing great. But back to the point, if you get Williamson on there healthy, like they're a legit good team, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about some of these other matchups? Do you like the Lakers' chances? Let's skip ahead. Let's say they beat the T-Wolves.
Okay. Then they're in the 7.
7-2 against Memphis. I think a lot of these matchups are really intriguing in the West.
Well, what I said about the Lakers, I think finishing 6 for the Lakers would have been really perfect because then they would have had a potential Kings and then Memphis matchup. You get those, you go potentially you're through 2 rounds. I know it's just one spot and now they still have to play Memphis, but now you go play-in game right to the 2 seed. And then you would have a potential 3 or 6. So then you would have the winner of the Kings and who's the 6th seed right now? Warriors.
And by the way, we have a call I'm going to get to about the Kings.
I mean, I think a lot of people, I'm
honestly, picking the Warriors.
I'd like to know what Vegas has the odds. I think Vegas might have the Warriors as favorites in the series. So really big difference having to go Kings, potentially Memphis.
Well, you're correct for the record. The Warriors are currently the favorites to win that series. not what our boy wants to hear in Sacktown. Let's get to a call.
It is Luca Cash Money, your number one Sacramento Dirtball. Calling about three things today. One, I feel somewhat confident going into this series that the Kings can somehow manage to pull it off and beat the Warriors. And then after that, they're playing with house money. I'm curious what Prano's take is on that, what odds he gives them to win this series. Number two, I really need to hear what Prano's betting strategy is going to be for the playoffs this year, because I need to make some money on these playing games so I can get tickets to game one for the first playoff game back in Sacramento, because the tickets are absolutely ridiculous, and I'm not trying to sell a kidney. And finally, Prano, I had a question specific for you. I was curious if you had watched the Wu-Tang series on Hulu. Pretty good. Really enjoyed it, and I know that you're a big Wu-Tang fan, so I was curious what your thoughts were, if you have watched it, or if you plan on watching it now that I've alerted you to it. That's all I got, and condoms are for Steph Curry.
So let's start from the top. I was saying about the Lakers getting in and potentially having a Kings series that I think what gave them a chance is the lack of experience that the Kings have in the playoffs. I think this is an even worse matchup for them. So much playoff experience on the Warriors. So many guys with playoff experience playing together.
Yeah.
This is a bad matchup for them. This is just about, not only that, but
they're right next to each other.
Yeah, these aren't even road games.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
This is bad travel-wise. This is bad, a team that knows you well. This is bad, a team that has I would assume, far and away the most playoff experience in the whole league right now. If you look at their roster, this is a bad matchup. Now, I do agree with him. I disagree with him that they get through. I do agree with him that winning one round, if you're the Kings, is a win, and you're playing with house money. Absolutely, positively. This is exactly what we said, about my Giants in the NFL, and everybody's like, Brano, I thought it was like a fucking Super Bowl or bust league. Yes, the goal has to be for the Kings to win a championship, but they're young. I think that and I've already predicted this multiple times, I think that there's a good chance that they have a step back year next year. If you remember my Knicks getting a super high seed a couple years ago, losing in the first round, having a step back year, and now back in the playoff mix, I could see them having a step back year next year seeding wise, but you have to build your playoff experience. I think the Knicks will be better this year in the first round because of what happened in Atlanta a couple years ago. I think that the Kings getting playoff experience this year is important for them in terms of winning a championship down the line. I don't like their chances against the Warriors. I like them less than I like their chances against the Lakers. I absolutely think winning one series and then losing to a 2 seed would be a huge win for them. Now, that being said, if they were to get through and play a Memphis team, they're playing with house money, but I like their chances against the Memphis team with, limited playoff experience more than I like their chances against a Lakers or a Warriors. Now, I don't think the Kings have a real great opportunity to go to the NBA Finals. I don't think the way the matchups have played out that the Lakers have a great chance of going to the NBA Finals. I bet with Andy Lazarus against the Warriors going to the NBA Finals. So, like I talked about, I have got the Bucks in the NBA Finals for the East, and I think that this is all depending on matchups. So, yeah, I got to agree that it would be a win for them. I just don't think that they're going to get there. But I think this playoff experience is important anyway. As far as the Wu-Tang series goes, I watched a couple episodes of the first season. I liked it. I gave up. I'll probably go back at some point when I need something to watch. I wasn't blown away by it, but also it might be one of those things where, I just know too much. I've read every book. I've read all the things. My Wu-Tang knowledge from the Wu-Tang Manual and the Tao of Wu and all the things I've ever read from all of the guys. It's like, it's one of those guys who loves the book. And so the movie's not great, but I think I got 4 or 5 episodes in. Maybe I'll start over, try it again, see if my girlfriend wants to get into it. And, I'm always looking for something to watch.
So in regards to that,
it's not like RZA could die in an episode, We know he's not dead. The grandfather.
Stop it, Joe. Just stop it.
The mogul that made the Wu.
You're unbelievable. You are unbelievable. But you're right. People who get it, get it. People who don't, no harm, no foul. I think the Warriors win that series. And I think this sounds crazy considering they won all those titles and they just won last year. They're like a low-key, under-the-radar team in the playoffs just because they're a 6 seed.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people are going to like that low-key play, especially with the odds. Speaking of that, that's the one thing I forgot to mention in Luca's question. NBA betting. I haven't looked at the spreads on these games yet for the play-ins. My NBA playoff betting strategy, which has always been successful for me, usually starts like it doesn't really take into consideration these play-in games, but we've kind of talked about it already. I mean, how about a Timberwolves loss money line parlay? Take bet on 2 Minnesota L's.
Or here's what you can do, Luca. Here's a recommendation. You download the Prize Pick app, right? Because I know it's available in California. All first-time users that deposit and use promo code DIRTY will receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. So you deposit that $100, you get $100 back, and you go to Prize Picks, and you can make some plays because that is our daily fantasy sponsor. That's our partner, Prize Picks. Tons of options here, Joe, for the NBA playoffs. I got them pulled up right in front of me. You can do obviously straight up points, rebounds, assists, rebounds, 3-pointers made. Ooh, there's a turnovers. Dude, you name it. I'm looking at it right here. Like, who's the guy you think has potential to go off? Here's an interesting one. Trae Young, 24.5 points. That's a good one right there. I would lean towards more there if I was on Prize Picks, looking at placing a play there. Interesting move on Prize Picks. They have Jimmy. Did Jimmy Butler change his hair and I don't know about this?
Why? What do they have? They have a picture of Jimmy Butler with crazy hair? Yeah. Jimmy Butler changes his hair all the time. So Prize Picks, how up to date is Prize Picks? And how much is this a factor in whether or not you're betting on it?
Well, he's got long dreads.
I think the Prize Pick, I'm going to take a differ from Ruther here. I think with the Heat defense, I think you go a Trae Young less than a Jimmy Butler more than.
Okay, here's a good one for you. Your boy, LeBron James. Points, rebounds, assist.
Is it 75?
Because if 44
okay,
and a half.
I'm gonna go more.
44 and a half for LeBron. I really like that. You go more than on that.
35, 5, and 5. And he's already got it. And we know he's going to get more than 5 assists.
So Dirtballs, hop on today and download Prize Picks to play daily fantasy with us. Make sure you use promo code DIRTY when you sign up. Because once again, they will match that initial deposit up to $100. So go ahead and do that today over on Prize Picks. And you got the next few months to look forward to making a lot of plays here with the NBA playoffs.
Oh, I can't wait for all the matchups to be settled. We'll go in depth on Thursday. I'll be in Vegas. We'll go in depth on Thursday. My playoff gambling manifesto.
Okay, so we have a update on this. This is a great thing about YouTube comments. Jimmy Butler did that as a goof in the beginning of the season to have that as his media pick.
That's hilarious.
And it worked because I was like, what is this? I mean, it looks like it's like photoshopped on.
And that's
That is-
from Little Orphan Funkhauser, which you love to see.
Great curb reference right there.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Funkhauser.
Not LFO, LOF.
Yes. There you go. Well, I do look forward to seeing these games settled. And we also have an update on Delonte West.
I like girls that download Prize Picks. Chinese food makes me sick.
So Delonte West, I did not reach out to him yet. My apologies.
Okay.
That's not the update.
Happy belated birthday to Maddie Goldberg,
Yeah.
aka Delonte West's co-host. Yeah.
So I played that video about Delonte West, and he references
Over
Golden.
under Maddie Goldberg's actual age. You set the line. I love Goldberg. Is he in the comments? I'd love to confirm or deny.
I mean, it's 45 or 46.
Okay.
So you'd say at 45 and a half.
Okay. I'm gonna go over.
Yeah.
Looks good. Looks good if I'm betting the over.
Yeah. He's crushing it, man. All those winnings on poker, keeping a man young and fresh.
It's good to get out and get yourself grounded every day with some dog walks.
Yeah. Nonstop Coke just keeps you looking young.
Not cocaine. Coca-Cola.
No. Yeah, Coca-Cola. I should specify there. So he said Golden Panther, Delonte West, in one of the videos I played last episode. We have a clarification on what this means. God bless the Dirtballs. Was DM'd from a Dirtball. This is apparently what Delonte West said in the Gloria James YouTube video you played in the show. He keeps saying Golden Panther. And according to this, a Golden Panther is when you lather a woman's whole body in mustard. Afterwards, you proceed to shove a chain of sausages in said woman's ass, thus acting as the tail.
Wow.
You then smack the girl's ass and make them purr, completing the Golden Panther.
Wow. Honestly, I was joking last episode about it, and now I think it's completely appropriate that LeBron James has blackballed him from homes.
This is unbelievable. I gotta read this again.
And by golden, is golden spelled Gildan? Is it a Gildan's mustard panther?
That's a good point. No, it is not. So it's when you lather a woman's whole body in mustard. Afterwards, you proceed to shove a chain of sausages in said woman's ass. By the way, this is Urban Dictionary, of course. Thus acting as the tail. You then smack the girl's ass and make them purr, completing the Golden Panther.
I love that you just read it twice.
I just want everybody, because it's important to, like even me, I'm trying to process this,
It's too much mustard.
Way too much mustard. And I agree with you. If this is what he did to LeBron's mom, completely justified.
Yeah.
Making him homeless.
LeBron going, he is never going inside again.
That is unbelievable. Did you see the deal Steph Curry now has with Under Armour?
I did not.
I think this is an interesting deal. So Steph Curry
It'll never not blow my mind that Steph Curry has been a basically career-long Under Armour athlete.
Well, he is trying to make, he's putting house money at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because he's obviously made so much money. He's the highest paid player, and I think he is for the next few years as far as contractually in the NBA. Anyway, he now receives $75 million in Under Armour shares as part of compensation to remain the company ambassador. So he's going to get about 8,800 restricted stocks, which they had to disclose. This is like a public thing that to disclose the SEC filing. So basically, he's going to get 75 million in stocks, which obviously could go down or go up. And it's one of those deals where he could make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't make it, big deal, because he's already made over,
he's
in the middle of a $200 million current NBA contract.
I look forward to 20 years from now, when the NBA is shooting even more threes and some kid's about to pass him an all-time three-pointers, and we get the 3-hour-long Ben Affleck, Matt Damon movie about the Under Armour contract and how it came about.
You're right. I didn't realize he's been with them since 2013, man.
Yeah.
Like, you forget that.
We get Denzel as Del Curry.
Who's going to play Steph?
Yeah.
D-Ray Davis. They kind of have similar skin tone, right?
Yeah.
Who would play Steph?
Probably Justin Bieber. The whole world's woke. I don't know.
What Bieber?
Everybody complaining about like the Little Mermaid being black. Haven't you seen the meme about like, oh, the blah, 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 and they have like Ryan Gosling as Obama? It's like,
no, I was confused because when you said Bieber in my head, I was thinking Justin Timberlake in blackface for some reason.
yeah.
That would work. Well, you sent me a text about the NBA attendance records.
Yes. The fledgling NBA.
So the NBA set all-time records for total attendance, sellouts, average attendance, and percentage of capacity.
Fake news. It's not real. It's fake, Andy.
During the 2022-2023 season. Again, a record.
There are certainly some NBA game arenas that are not
for sure
90% full, but this is proof. And you know, this is something that back in the day was always a thing. Like, I mean, the Knicks went, I don't know how many years in a row back in the day when they were successful, selling out every fucking game. Like, there are teams in the NBA that sell out every game.
Yeah.
Damn near every game.
Well, this says that 97% of capacity was reached overall. The average attendance was 18,791 sellouts, most ever, and a record attendance. I don't know where this game was. 22,000. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading this wrong. Overall record, 22 million plus fans attended games this year. I bet you loved that when you saw that.
Well, it's a lot. That's 22 million fans that are going to be very upset next year when the NBA has to fold due to all their wokeness. At this point, like, if your attendance is setting all-time records for your league and your TV deal just goes up, I saw the prediction in searching around about this. It was something from a couple months ago that the prediction was that like the NBA deal will be the next NBA deal will be 2 times or 3 times the size of the last NBA deal. So if every time you sign a new deal, it doubles in value and you constantly sell out games and you're setting attendance records, it's safe to say that your league is fucking beyond thriving, right?
Extremely profitable.
And I mean, I don't know how we're shipping all these people in from China just to attend these games. I mean, are we just having boatloads of, because, you know, all the NBA fans, they're all Chinese because, you know, we're all, the LeBron is a Chinese pawn and all that stuff. So it's crazy. You go to all these games and you don't see, maybe they're in disguise as Americans who love basketball, but.
A lot of Asian people at Warriors games.
Sure. Probably not as many at Oklahoma City Thunder game, who, by the way, also sell out every fucking game and have forever.
Yeah, the popularity of the game on a global scale only increases.
If you're talking about, Andy, if you're talking about 97% capacity across the league, if you're talking about setting attendance records, if you're talking about the value of your TV contracts going through the roof, the value of your franchises when they sell going through the roof, and a global audience that it can't even be factored in when you say like, oh, this many people watch the women's college basketball game and this many people will watch the first round. Like, cool. And 11 people outside the US watch that women's college basketball game. And meanwhile, 10 billion people outside of the US are going to watch the NBA finals. Like,
well, again, you have to take ratings with a grain of salt.
Of course, especially in a game that is played. Like, you can say, MLB ratings. When we did the thing about, the World Baseball Classic,
I was going to say that was eye-opening.
That was eye-opening, but you could also say, hey, the Super Bowl numbers are a global number, but like Sunday Night Football numbers are probably a mostly American number.
Sure.
Right? Major League Baseball, Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, you're probably getting a handful of people in Latin American countries, Japan, etc. But like, no one in fucking Africa is watching Sunday Night Baseball. No one in France is watching Sunday Night Baseball. You have these pockets of baseball. When you talk about the viewership of basketball worldwide in every country I just named and then some, plus again, the value of the teams, the actual numbers that we're seeing go to games, and the TV deals.
Here's a story.
Can we just agree any sort of dunking on the NBA is pathetic and wrong?
Well, yeah, here's a personal story. And again, I think when it comes to ratings, not only do you take it with a grain of salt, you also, things normally are not apples to oranges. So like, I'm not going to compare a NFL regular season game. It's not fair to compare.
You're not going to compare the Super Bowl to the NBA All-Star game? Is that what you're saying?
No. And I'm not going to.
Who would do that?
And I'm not going to compare a Sunday Night Football game.
Imagine how much of a fucking idiot you'd have to be to compare those two things.
You also can't compare a Sunday Night Football game to a Sunday Night Baseball game. You know what I'm saying? Like
you also can't compare something in 2023 to something in 1985.
Yeah. So here's a personal story.
In 1990, more people watched The Simpsons on a fucking Sunday night than will watch every Succession that's ever fucking on.
Yeah. By the way, great episode last night. That's all I'm going to say. I was in Spain in fall of 2002, so over 20 years ago. Pau Gasol's from Spain, as we know. Him and his brother, Marc Gasol, right? I was in a bar with my buddies, and it would have been one of those international competitions. I don't know. The Spanish team is playing. I remember then being like, wow, these people are really into it. This is 20 years ago. Now, obviously, it helps. Spain's playing. Gasol is in the NBA. He was already rookie of the year or whatever at that point. But my point is that's 20 years ago, and I can remember fanfare in a bar because of him being in the NBA in Spain. I witnessed that personally. I'm saying just imagine 20 years later where all these sports, to be honest, have gone globally. Hence the TV deals are worth so much.
I mean, just think about a potential. Let's say you would go one seed. Think about the global audience to Giannis, Bucks, Jokic, Nuggets.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, enjoy it. They're going to fold any day now.
I did see, speaking of folding, I did see the WNBA is now going to get charter flights for all of
them. That's how, by the way, more proof the NBA is just crushing it. The charity case that is the WNBA, they have even more money to spend.
The WNBA is adding
their foster dogs are now getting charter flights.
Charter flights for the entire playoffs and back-to-back regular season games this year. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, well, the NBA now has the money to just be like, okay, we're going to pay for your charter flights. I didn't realize they flew commercial up until a few years ago.
Yeah.
which is a weird move. Like, imagine if you were sandwiched between, like, I don't know, Brittany Griner and give me another WNBA player. I don't know one.
I wish I could.
I'm like, hey, can you reach my luggage for me, Brittany? Because I can't. I'm short. Can you get that for me? And then she gave me her weed, and we got high. Did I just create a cartoon? Maybe.
Sure.
A sitcom? Did I create my own episode of Curb? Getting stoned with Brittany Griner on a commercial flight. Isn't that wild though? Like they were flying commercially.
Yeah.
That's kind of
No,
hilarious.
they are. They still are. This is for the playoffs and back-to-back games. Yeah. Otherwise, NBA stars have to get up in the morning and make sure they check in for Southwest flights the day early so that they can get a good boarding spot.
It's like that old episode of Entourage when Vincent Chase has to fly commercial. Do you remember?
No.
It's like when he's at his lowest point in his career and everything's flopped and he's got to go back to Queens. And they're like, is that Vincent Chase on the commercial flight? Like the chick's flying. Anyway, that was a deep reference. Even you didn't get.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Masters?
I mean, I watched some, but like not an hour. I was in Palm Springs, hanging by the pool. Shout out to Jay Sizzle, by the way. I went to see our boy DJ Sizzle. DJ Sizzle. That's his like. He plays that during his sets. DJ Sizzle.
Love it.
I loved it. Saw him at the pool at the Marriott in Palm Springs. I posted on my Instagram. He was playing I was like, I got a request because DJs hate it when you have requests. So I was like, I got a request. And he's like, yeah, hit me. I was like, I'm just kidding. I don't really have a request. Play whatever the fuck you want. And then 3 minutes later, after he handed me a bucket of Miller Lights, he played Miley Cyrus Party in the USA. I was like, it's like he read my mind. Here's some Miller Lights and some Miley Cyrus. I was like, he really is playing my requests.
Is that your go-to Miley song?
No. My walk-up song is Wrecking Ball. That's my road walk-up song. Bangers is the premier Miley album, in my opinion. Although the new one, also pretty fire.
What was her hit? Like 2013.
It was probably We Can't Stop.
Yeah, that's
Wrecking Ball.
That's it. That's when she was showing up on every stage with like giant dicks.
Yeah.
Do you remember how she was literally like just like humping inflatable penises on stage?
Yeah.
That was the like, hey dad, I'm not a little girl anymore.
Yeah. That was when I became a Miley guy.
That was the king of Andy Ruther just destroying her on Twitter. The old days of just like, we get it. You hate your dad. Things that would definitely cancel me now.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even say. I will say, I came across some old Andy Ruther cancelable material. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Stand-up material?
Oh yeah. And like Frat Boys of Comedy videos, like 2008, 2009. Oh boy. I fell down a rabbit hole watching it. And I'm not going to name names. Some other comics too who have some good careers going were on some of those. And I was like, that was one of those, like, I should be asleep right now, but I can't stop watching these. And also being like, oh my God, thank God these are not out there anymore. So yeah, I don't know if I'm trying to do myself in, but maybe one day I'll play something.
Oh man, clips from the vault.
And the stand-up is so cringe. Oh my God. You know how tough it is for a comedian to watch their old, dude, my old stand-up bits. Oh my God. It's that cringe. Something just fell at your house.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
You good?
Okay. I think it was a stick-on light that may have come down.
Okay. Well, real quick before we get to some calls, I did watch some of the Masters. I had some family over yesterday and we were watching it. And I have to say, guys, was definitely rooting for Koepka since he's live and he choked in the final round. But
See, it was tough for me. If if it had been any other, we're the same. We think that this, like, the pearl clutching from PGA fans is it's just so lame. And, like, again, who are you standing for? Like,
I don't get it.
What is this? So it was the same for me. I would have been way more interested had it been. I hate Koepka, so the fact that he was the guy that was in the mix for Live was like why if it had been anybody else, I probably would have been tuned in. I hate Koepka. I think he's the world's biggest douche. He to me embodies like why I avoided golf for so long, because it's like, oh, that's the guy you see everywhere. Had the Mickelson thing gone another way and it wasn't this like late push that needed somebody to falter, I would have been way more interested in it, because in that situation, had there been some sort of meltdown, I certainly would have tuned into a playoff, because I love Mickelson. I've always loved Mickelson. I think I've loved Mickelson because he was the Tiger rival forever. By the way, I used to take a lot of shit. On this show from our Tiger stands about the claim that if Tiger wasn't winning, suddenly an injury would creep up and he would withdraw. Hate to say, I stay right on that one. So Tiger, a no finish, would have been way more interesting to me had it been anybody but Koepka, but alas.
Well, regardless, and again, I'm not a golf guy. I've never claimed to be one. So golf people can chime in on this. It is interesting that 3 of the top 4 finishers are Live guys. When all I've been hearing is that Live guys are washed, they can't compete. This is what I hear. This is what I see. I don't follow enough. But to see that happen and say 3 of the top 4 finishers are Live guys, maybe they're not washed, and maybe that's not the case. Because the PGA must hate that. You have all these guys right there. Phil Mickelson, I read today, I didn't realize this. No one's finished that high in the Masters at his age ever.
Yeah.
52. He finished second. No one's finished that high. Oldest guy to win a PGA championship. I mean, it is pretty fascinating, the idea that he's washed and like all these spins. I don't know if you saw, like, the New York Post just did a hit piece on him last week, or we go like, he's washed, he's withered, and they're like trying to show pictures of him looking terrible. And then he comes in second at the Masters.
And meanwhile, the thing is about Phil, and again, I'm relatively new to golf, but then there's the guys, Tiger, obviously, whose personality we got to know, whether you like it or not, whether you're interested in golf or not, it's forced upon you. Phil, who has been forced upon you. I mean, again, these are guys who've been competing for 30 years. So even if you don't watch that much golf, you get a lot of them. He's just he's an entertaining guy. He's fun. He's funny. When they did the match thing, he's by far the most entertaining of all of the golfers that have ever participated in the match, in terms of being somebody you want to watch and listen to. That's why it's so crazy. It's like, listen, we've dunked on the XFL or whatever over the years, like these upstart leagues, the USFL, but it's like, if the XFL started and the 9 of the top league's best quarterbacks left their teams and went, I'd be like, wow, this is pretty cool. They're actually going to make some, it's going to compete with the NFL.
So your boy Bill Simmons is one of them. Listen, he tweeted the crowd on did you see what he tweeted? He tweeted the crowd on 18 half-heartedly reacting to Phil's putt for a 65 was high comedy. Incredible job by him shitting on his own legacy. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
These people, he shit on his own legacy by leaving?
And it's, again, it's crazy because they're people have tried to make it it's really, they try to make it oh, look at how he is now. He's all grumpy at these things and no one wants to talk to him and whatever. And they try to make it they try to turn it into, it's more than just he's leaving. He's not a nice guy and blah, blah. And it's dude, Tiger Woods is the world's biggest douche. like, it's hard. It would be hard for you to convince me that there's 10 people in professional sports history that don't have a douche resume that stack up there with Tiger Woods. He's a fucking douche, but people fucking stand for him. So yeah, it's weird because it really is just about him leaving. Like if you prefer Tiger Woods' personality to Phil Mickelson, like, I don't even want to be your friend.
Yeah, it is weird, man. The whole situation's weird. So bizarre.
And but by the way, imagine how Phil would be treated right now if he barely made the cut and then withdrew.
Oh, he'd be raked through the coals, man.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
the injury that he didn't have when he started his Masters week crept up when he barely made the cut.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. All right, let's get to some calls. 310-359-8365. That's the hotline. Had a lot of good calls. Thank you. We're going to play a couple today. We'll get to more on Thursday. We'll start off with a Eli or Aaron Rodgers call. This will be right up Prano's alley.
Beautiful Omaha, Nebraska. Just saw this.
Hold on a second. Let me get this started.
Fellas, this is Peyton Stolt calling from beautiful Omaha, Nebraska. Just saw this question floating around on Twitter. Cheddar Dick Colin Cowherd asked it. If you had to choose, would you rather have Aaron Rodgers' career or Eli Manning's career? Which I guess you're basically just asking if a second Super Bowl is worth 4 MVPs. But personally, I'm probably going Rodgers, and I would just choose not to take ayahuasca and sit in the dark room. But I want to know your thoughts. Thanks, fellas. Stay dirty, and condoms will forever be for the jabroni himself, Travis Kelce.
Real quick, did you see Travis Kelce's pitch?
Yeah. I couldn't tell if he was fucking around or not. I thought he was Gronk spiking it as a joke or something. And then he like goes and runs to like hug the catcher. Yes. It's horrible.
Unbelievable.
Horrible.
So I don't know who you're gonna pick. I mean, look, you have 2 Super Bowls versus 1 Super Bowl. You have one guy with obviously a statistical all-time career, 4 MVPs. I mean, you gotta go Rodgers, right?
I guess this is an interesting question because like, so here's my thought process. If you were like, would you rather 1 Super Bowl and 1 Super Bowl MVP and 4 league MVPs, or would you rather 2 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs? If you were basing it on that question and that question alone, I would say the answer is Rodgers. When you take these 2 actual people that we're talking about and you say, would you rather have, like, essentially, would you rather be Eli Manning right now or would you rather be Aaron Rodgers? If your legacy was Aaron Rodgers, like, if you get very specific to it, I'm taking Eli Manning, and here's why. First of all, it's not like you don't have it's not like we're talking about he's 2 Trent Dilfers. You know what I mean? You have 2 Super Bowl MVPs. You have them in New York. You have them. You never leave the team that you got drafted by. You're beloved, and you've taken it into being like, look at what Eli Manning is now because of the career he's had and all things. Whereas Aaron Rodgers, you get all the statistical accolades, but like right now in in a who do you like more contest, everybody prefers Eli Manning at this point, right? Like, except Jets fans. I mean, I would say Packers fans like Eli Manning more at this point.
Yeah, but that,
Like-
but hold on. I don't like the current status of like likable and whether people. I don't think that's fair. And we're talking football career. How could you not
know.
take Rodgers?
I think again, if you had 2 Super Bowls, like I think the situation in which he does it and the fact that he won both MVPs, you've got the single greatest Super Bowl win of all time. How much is the 18-0 Patriots Super Bowl worth if you were to rank Super Bowls? Like a middle of the road Super Bowl is actually equal to one. You know, let's say Trent Dilfer leading.
Yeah, that's like Trent
that's
Dilfer,
like
Brad Johnson are
that's
like
a
the
half a
lowest.
Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
How much is the Eli Manning Super Bowl worth?
I mean, look, in my lifetime, it's probably has the highest value.
He has the highest value Super Bowl. He has the biggest play in Super Bowl history. He's got the fourth biggest play in Super Bowl. Like he has another absolute all-time dime in the Super Bowl. Both against the Patriots, both against Brady, both last drives on him, both MVPs. I think if it's anybody else, like I'd almost say this. Hear me out. Peyton Manning has like all the accolades, right? He's got all the things that, like, would you rather have Peyton Manning's career or Aaron Rodgers' career? You know, you've got all the things. Take away the MVPs, whatever. Like the Super Bowl that you win with the Colts and the Super Bowl you win with the Broncos. To me, if Eli had won those 2 Super Bowls, Rodgers. But the fact that he did both against the Patriots, one against an 18-0, won both MVPs, did it in New York. Now, Aaron Rodgers' career isn't over.
Yeah. Or is it? I mean, seriously, is it?
I mean, if he goes to the Jets, I don't know if he's getting another Super Bowl. But
I'm saying is even like who even knows if he plays again? You never know with him. He's a
let me tell you. Let me put something else into perspective for you. I'm going to justify my answer one more time. If Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets and takes the Jets to the Super Bowl, loses it, doesn't win another league MVP. If he loses a Super Bowl with the Jets, he takes the edge back because he goes to New York and he makes the Jets legit relevant contender. But right now, all the things considered, where he did it, who he did it against, the fact that he won the MVPs, I am going to take Eli Manning.
That's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. Second most MVPs all time, you know. Over a 10-year
okay,
period.
let's put this into perspective. Patrick Mahomes retires today. You rather his career or Rodgers' career?
Well, I had Mahomes.
Without all the MVPs, without the yards, without the touchdowns.
Mahomes has 2 MVPs. Okay, I'm gonna ask you one. You're talking about like the value of a Super Bowl. Where would you put a Joe Burrow or Josh Allen Super Bowl for those 2 franchises versus like this current dilemma? Like, what kind of value do you put on those franchises that never won one?
A lot.
Right?
A lot.
You have to.
Especially, I mean, imagine a Burrow, like, you know, what's the difference too with the Eli's as opposed to what Peyton Manning was able to do. And I know, again, this gets into it. I'm not saying it should be true, but it is like for him to beat the Patriots, it could only happen in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So it's almost like, in a way, that Chiefs Super Bowl, the Chiefs win that Burrow had to get to the Super Bowl, it was like, dude, you just did it. You slayed the dragon. Now you just got to win one more game, and he doesn't. So it's like, for him, the Chiefs are always going to be in the conference. For the Bills, the Chiefs are always going to be in the conference. Now, we've talked about a ton of this with, like, when it comes to basketball and Michael Jordan and LeBron and Duncan and Kobe and Shaq and all those things and who all they had to play to get there. But it's like, there is more value on that Eli Manning 18-0 Super Bowl than if they were 17-0 and he beats them in the NFC Championship game and then he goes on and beats some other team in the Super Bowl, right? Like, it just matters more. It just does.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. All right, next call is one I don't really know how to answer. Like, I couldn't think of any off the top of my head. CT, formerly from Seattle.
Prano, Ruther, this is take two. CT, formerly from Seattle, lifelong Seattle Kraken fan. Hey, the drought is over. The Kraken are going to the playoffs. We have waited long enough as Kraken fans. But my question is, relating to, hey, the Masters tomorrow, a tradition I have is inviting some friends over, make some pimento cheese sandwiches. Of course, got the fridge stocked with Miller Lite, no other beer. I think my pimento cheese sandwich is pretty good. But if you could recreate one thing in your house that is unique to usually a sporting event or sports stadium, I know you guys don't like Dodger dogs. That would be an example. If you could make a Dodger dog perfectly at your house, that would be something example. I know that's not going to be your guys' example, but that is something that would work. What is one unique food stuff you can only find in stadium sporting events that you wish you could recreate perfectly at your home? You guys call for calls. I'm trying to think of a good question. I think it's pretty good. What food stuff would you like to make at your house that you can only find in the stadium? CT.
Okay, I guess you cut out. I actually thought of one. I said I didn't know. I like to take old baseball helmets and make nachos. To recreate the helmet nachos they do at all stadiums. I don't know, like what do you do?
That's something, I was gonna say, like, would you say that I mean, again, I was appalled at the idea of it, but do nachos taste better out of a helmet than they do regular? Because I'll tell you one thing that for sure does is the old baseball Sunday helmets you would get.
Oh yeah.
Why are we not serving soft serve at home in little plastic helmets?
Yeah.
I might want to do that. Also, I'm trying to think of really great, like, just mind-blowingly good food options that I've had at a ballpark.
Plus, they're all corporate now with companies. So, like,
yeah,
you're like, oh, I like if you get Shake Shack still at City Field.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's just.
It's totally. It used to be when Shake Shack first was at City Field, it was like the only place to get it outside of like the one Shake Shack in the city. Now Shake Shack's everywhere.
Yeah.
It might just be, and I just traded messages with a DirtBall who asked me the things to do at City Field, like the must-dos. And I told him that there is a lot of really good food options. City Field has some really great, like, fancy sort of food options. But the best thing to me is just like the straight up regular from the concession stand sausage and peppers that you get at City Field. If I could eat a City Field sausage and peppers, I have my answer. This is gonna be real offensive to people who have never experienced this, and I may never be able to experience this again. To be totally honest with you, as we all know from Beergate. This is for Mikey, who's definitely listening to this. The old Giant Stadium, not MetLife, the old Giant Stadium. Me and Mikey would get the owner's box invite regularly. And I may never get another owner's box invite due to Beergate. But the chicken fingers that used to appear in the Giants owner suite at old Giant Stadium. If I could have those every Sunday while I watch Giants games, chef's kiss. Old Giant Stadium owner's box chicken fingers or Citi Field / Shea Stadium sausage and peppers.
Now, if I had I like pretzels at ball games
Ooh, just having like a hot pretzel
with cheese.
Like a hot pretzel warmer in your house so you could go in and there's always one just spinning.
Yeah, but you gotta get that cheese with it.
Yeah.
Like,
give me a hot pretzel warm up, some Giants owner's box chicken fingers. Give me my Citi Field sausage and peppers as my entree, and then let me finish it up with a soft serve ice cream sundae and a helmet.
Do they do the helmets? Is that still a thing?
Oh, that's got to still be a thing for sure.
The soft serve with the helmets?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's like I'm just trying to think growing up too. Like, God, I remember how shitty the pizza used to be at Old Riverfront Stadium. Like
honestly, if you eat pizza at a ballpark, like, and if it's not some sort of city fancy, like, unless you have some premium pizza shop that has their version of it at the ballpark, if you're just getting like a bent under a warming light in a cardboard box slime pizza that bends the way the pizza in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles looked. Like, for some reason, it always looked like sewage was sliding off the slices. They're like, cowabunga! That's stadium pizza. Like, why is it slimy?
Well, it's sewer pizza, you know. What a fascinating concept, by the way, Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know what percentage of cartoons created somebody was on a drug to think of that.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That live in sewers and they eat pizza.
And their sensei is a rat.
I mean, it's fascinating to think somebody came up with that.
Yeah.
No way that person was not under the influence of something.
Vince is somewhere going, sewer pizza sounds delicious. Sewer pizza is my favorite kind of pizza.
Oh, that's too funny. Give us a ring, 310-359-8365. That is our hotline. Follow us on social at The Dirty Sports across the board.
Andy, I have some shows to announce. I'm dropping a big announcement right now. In addition to being in Las Vegas, Nevada this coming week, starting tomorrow all through Sunday, 2 shows, 7 o'clock and 9:30 at the Rio Comedy Cellar inside the Rio, inside Las Vegas, Nevada. Also coming up, I'm going to jump to the most important one. Guys, I'm coming home. I'm coming back to the 914203 border area code where I spent my days growing up, crisscrossing the border between New York and Connecticut. As everybody knows, went to high school in Greenwich, Connecticut, grew up in Katona, New York. I'm coming back. Stamford, Connecticut, Wednesday, June 7th, headlining the new New York Comedy Club in Stamford, Connecticut. It's going to be a awesome show. I assume that I'm going to get lots of friends and family out from the area. It's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be like when Jack Johnson plays the Santa Barbara Bowl or something, some other reference that means something to you. It's going to be like when Dave Matthews plays the Gorge. It's Joe Prano, Stamford, Connecticut, June 7th, Wednesday. Between now and then, I'll be up in Marin County at the Throckmorton Theater in San Rafael. Next week, Tuesday the 18th, I'll be doing some shows in San Francisco on the 19th before I attend Mets Giants on 420, bro. And I'll have more shows and lots more dates to come. Actually, Lots of shows getting booked these days. All my shows, joeprano.com/shows, or just follow me on Instagram at Joe Prano, on TikTok at Joe Prano, on Twitter at Fix Your Life, where I promote all my shows. But if you're in the New York area or the Connecticut area, come to that one. And if you're in Vegas, I'll see you this week.
Word. Cool, guys. That's our show. Thanks for sticking with us. See you guys on Thursday. And as always, stay dirty.